Hey everyone, and welcome to Monsters Deceit, a visual novel style horror game. We have to persuade monsters whether to destroy the world or not. For a moment, you don't remember where you are, or how you got here. You feel lost, unsure of where you're going, and almost unsure of who you are. You like to think that you're past your weakness, your defects, your insecurities. In a daze of confusion, sometimes being lost can make one's soul feel as if it has lost itself. Then you see it. A moment of clarity washes over you, and you found yourself in the Chasm. New keyword? Across the endless Malduvian River, a gargantuan beast can be seen engaging in a battle. His opponent appears to be a hooked-back Shargoth. The more hooked the back embraces, the stronger they come, as they say. As for the beast, he had no discernible features other than it was spewing a toxic pink substance when it roared. Fairly standard large ears, a trunk face, lilac claws, and a fur made of plasma. I can guess it's a beast of the burning star. I know this from observation and using logic. In a matter of moments, the winner was decided. With a mission, the Shargoth carries the plasma on the second hooked back and flies away, leaving the meat of the beast behind. I wonder if it's safe to eat. Just as I take my first step into the door, I hear a shriek across the room. Silver-tongued, you ever kept me waiting long enough? Greetings, Keychee. I've been waiting for hours. How was your day? Don't use your semantics on me. Oh, thank you, Keychee. My day has been spectacular. I had to withstand walking to and fro, watching cat fights, and pick up after the leftovers, because that's going to be our only source of nourishment. I could help. If you let me out, not a chance. This is Keychee, a parasite that once attached itself to me. Since I have insight, it's fairly easy to find it and dispose of it from my mind. But then, Keychee started panicking and begged for its life. I promised it wouldn't reattach to me unless I find it food and let it live here. I said I would agree to those terms. It believed me because I seemed to be trustworthy and true to my word. What is that? And sure, looked like a beast of the burning star, but it would ingest this pink liquid. Perhaps they're evolving as a species. Perhaps. I grab my tools and start hammering on the flesh. With no physical strength, I couldn't carry all of the meat back to home. Most of these meat sections were covered in plated armor, since the Shargoth skinned the plasma fur of the beast. Speaking of evolving, let's talk about your siphon career. I have a good source of clients if that's what you're asking. But are you content where you are? I already have plans to go bigger. What do you mean? My sights are set on a first milestone, a great terror. What? Don't think I'm capable? I let out a soft laugh and stick out my silver tongue. Well, today, I wasn't just getting us food. I found a keyword before I found the delectable beast we're going to eat. It was the Chasm. Don't tell me. This is you're going to siphon off of Fernweh? Who other than the one of the lost? Smiling, I start sizzling the meat on the hearth whilst beating it with my hammer. The odor smells delicious, like rusted wood and bromine. I hear a light spark sound, meaning the fire has melted the last chink in the armor. After letting all the oozing metal collapse and clear off any remaining silicone left on the meat, I pull back the hammer and start weaving the meat and carving out the trunks. Looks delicious, and now the dish was finally ready. Then I squished Keychee's jaw and let the meat and its juices flow inside for it to consume. It nibbles on some pieces before turning to face me. Did I just check if it was poisoned? Alright, if we're going to do this, then you might as well get some help. It's always better to do some prep before you meet with any interlocutors. Do you want to do a little bit of refresher? A reminder is always helpful. Alright, let's begin. The goal of the dialogue you have with each interlocutor is simple. You're to convince the interlocutor into choosing you as their siphon, whatever that means. A siphon is a being that needs to feed off the mental energy of others to survive. But it's not just about surviving for me, it's about thriving in this plane. The more mental power I accumulate, the greater my power of insight will become, and the longer I will live. Greater terrors, like Fernweh of the Lost, will grant me greater mental power. Why do you need your power of insight anyways? Funny you should ask, Keychee. The power of insight is what allows me to get a glimpse of the mind of others, so you can see what's inside their minds, and I thought this was going to be difficult. Seeing their minds isn't so simple as knowing their current thoughts, Keychee. It's like jumping into a pool of their ideas, memories, experiences, and feelings. It's easy to get lost in the head if you don't know where to go or what to look for. The power of insight acts as an access point and, if strong enough, can be my guide when inside the mind. Let's start with you as an example, Wait, what? I did not ask for this silver tongue. I laugh. Too late. What's in Hackneyed, Volier and Keyed? Whatever it is the key to answer. To input. There'll need to be a timer, but this can be adjusted from the preference menu. If you can't figure it out, use the backscape to escape and continue. Congratulations, you found the answers. This is what you need to do for most dialogues. Solve puzzles and input words. Sometimes you need to input more than one word in order to win. You just into my mind now. Let me guess. Your head is a bit light and dizzy. You feel as if you blanked out for a second? Correct. Wait, so that means you intend to use the power of insight during the dialogue? When else is a better time? You didn't need to do this for your clients in the past. Well, my clients are easy to convince. Now we're going up a proper, worshipped terror. All tricks and tactics should be laid on the table. Yes, I suppose so. Keychee fidgets and moves around in its jar. But your power of insight alone is enough to convince someone. You don't say. I thought I could just go up to someone and say, "Greetings, fellow associate. Could you be my source of power from which I will leech on indefinitely?" But no, you need to spin it in a way that can be mutually beneficial. That is true, I suppose. But no, what you need are the 3 Ps to assist you. The 3 Ps? There are 3 things you put into a conversation, or as I like to call them, 3 Ps. Presence, prescience, and perception. Each one is valuable in their own way. It can be a key to your success in winning the dialogue. It's also known as winning their favor. Your presence is how you control your demeanor in the conversation. It's your ability to manipulate how you come across or present yourself. There are 3 traits that presence encompasses. Charisma, how agreeable, charming, or likable you are. Reputable. I can't say that word. How trustworthy, honest, and respectable you are. Reputable. Here we go. Supreme. How powerful and strong you are. This controls if you're a dominant speaker, or the one who leads the conversation. Note the words appear to be, and how things are in air quotes. Because frankly speaking, you are neither likable, trustworthy, nor powerful. I grabbed Keychee's jaw and tightened my grip. I'm sorry. Did you just say something? Not at all. I laid down the jar. What I mean to say was this. It doesn't matter who you are. It's who you pretend to be. It's the ability to hide your true nature and present yourself as someone more convincing. Next on the list is prescience. It's your ability to recall facts and use your reason. There are two traits that compose your prescience. Knowledge. It's how much you know things or how cultured you are. If you go scouting or digging up some dirt on an interlocutor, you gain more knowledge. Intellect. The ability to make sound judgments and use logic. These can be used if you were to dig up some old dirt on them. Well, you can't introduce it straight away. Hey, I'm here to blackmail you. Isn't all that convincing? Why not? When they feel threatened, they can beat you to a pulp. With your malformed body and lack of strength, it will be too easy. As much as I detest that idea, Keychee is right. I'm not one to use brute force as a weapon. That's why I take it to a playing field, where I stand a better chance. One involving less punches and more words. Finally, there's perception, which is one singular trait. You mean perception? The ability to notice important words, pointers, or body language. This trait cannot be negative. That's it. Perception has the trait of perception. This is a ridiculous naming system, so I'm going to fit it in the 3 Ps. Anyways, your perception is a crucial ability. This determines whether you can pick up on important words or body language. Important words translate into pointers, and body language translates into cues. You don't say. Indulge me for a second. First, I will explain pointers. For the sake of argument, let it be that I said the following sentence. After walking past the shop, I arrived at home. Fairly innocuous statement, right? And say you had greater perception. Maybe you'd be able to notice a word. After walking past the shop, I arrived at home. What shop did you walk past? The Old Norse store of supplies and syringes. What you just clicked on was a pointer. Essentially, you interrupted me to question me about the pointer word. In this case, it was the shop. So you asked me what shop I was walking past. You may return to the original text, aka what Keychee would have said if you didn't interrupt. But sometimes, an interruption can lead to a separate train of thought. Sometimes, there may be multiple pointers in a sentence, and you may be forced to pick one. So you may have to decide what should be questioned or not. After walking past the shop, I arrived at home. And where is home for you? Near the Maldivian River, across the banks of the Hug. Sometimes the better option may be to let the interlocutor keep talking. If you keep pressing them about words or keep interrupting them, they may get annoyed, as will close them up, and they'll reveal less information to you. You can see the state of the interlocutor by enabling interlocutor state in the menu. This state will show a bar that's half full, half empty. If the bar goes empty or if the interlocutor is closed, it's game over. You pester them too much and they'll stop the dialogue. You can unlock keywords by opening up the interlocutor. This is done using the presence traits. So, that's pointers done. Next are cues. Cues are hints of body language. Words alone didn't tell me the whole story. Mannerisms, a person can change everything. It'd be that I said, I saw Arolda yesterday. Keychee bears extended claws, reserved body language. See the eye mark next to Keychee? Hover over and text will appear. You see that the body language Keychee is giving is one that is reserved, meaning that it's trying to hide something. It could be that Keychee is flat out lying, or Keychee is hiding some information regarding the encounter. Let's say I use a different body language instead. Keychee's skin is shining, repressed anger. I saw your older yesterday. Hover over the new eye mark again and different text will appear. Now, Keychee's body language is repressed anger. You can deduce that there is a strained tension in the relationship between Keychee and Geralda. Clearly, Keychee did not want to see them get there. I think you get roughly down how cues work. So to summarize, there's presence, prescience, and perception. Presence has the charisma, reputable, and supreme traits. Prescience has the knowledge and intellect traits. And perception has the perception trait. Perception can be used to notice pointers, important words and cues, body language, for every single interlocutor, and know there are multiple strategies to pursue. They use a unique combination of Keychee's 3 Ps. Sometimes you can make yourself appear as a sycophant to lower the guard. Negative supreme, positive charisma. Perhaps you can find some blackmail and bribe them. Positive knowledge. Occasionally, I refute their ideas and convince them why they need me as the siphon. Positive intellect. Positive reputable. For most of the time, I just go with what feels right and adjust myself to the situation. So, I'll be clear. People good. Excellent. So, when are you meeting Fernweh? Want to hear their call? Do they have some telecommunication network? If only. But no. Their home is the Chasm, and usually nobody can get in. But since I've been there before, I think I can go there again. I tried getting in the Chasm this moonrise, and it worked. Although, I have to be careful not to lose myself in it. Should be easy enough. I'm used to navigating people's minds anyway. I wonder what Fernweh's mind looks like. Journal and papers. Your journal keeps track of all the keywords you have, and your papers have stats written on them. Presence, prescience, and perception. During the dialogue, you'll gain temporary presence stats which indicate how you present yourself in the conversation. Once the conversation is over, all your stats earned during the conversation will be reset to normal. After all, presence indicates how your interlocutor perceives you. Once you're done seeing them, these stats play no role. However, you can boost your normal presence stats before the conversation, which is what you're going to do now. Your 3 points to spend across your presence, prescience, and perception. Do you want to discuss strategy? Nah. Keep in mind, once you ask about a keyword and you go inside the mind, then you'll knock down that strategy route. This in mind, distribute your 3 points. Okay, set points will be transferred to your overall points, which will be spent elsewhere. We'll do 2 in perception. And we'll do prescience. Knowledge. So you got 2 perception, 1 in knowledge and 1 in intellect. You read the papers. There are headlines of Jackrabbit and missing lands of Lunarscape. Good. Now you have a choice to make. Either you can go digging for some information regarding Fernweh, or you can gain more points to boost your stats. On this evening, you decide to read and rise stats, and decide to take a famous void cult Zion from the early days of Yagashoth's reckoning. As much as I hate to admit it, they were one of my earliest influences for the work I do now. You gain 2 points to spend. We'll go all in knowledge. Three knowledge, 2 intellect. You practice your ability to hide your true nature. More headlines go on about the outer world's upcoming black hole trinity. Your preparation time for the dialogue is up. Now, the Silver Tongue will attempt to win the favor of the interlocutor, Fernweh of the Lost. Almost instantaneously, I feel my body collapse into the floor, and soon after, I was dragged to the center of the core of this plane. In that moment, I wasn't falling down, but instead, I was flying down. As the second passed, my home seemed more of a memory, and then a stranger. Everything was spinning in motion, yet I felt strangely unfazed. I knew what to expect from great cosmic terrors. The fall felt never-ending. The impact was going to be severe. But I never really hit the ground. A few minutes pass as you try to recuperate from the fall. It takes me a few seconds before I could fully comprehend what just happened. The humidity is almost suffocating, and if you look long enough, the glass shards and walls look back at you. The air, frigid and moist, should give a clear sensation, yet my body feels weak and light, almost as if I don't exist. I see Fernweh form itself around me. It wasn't like a figure coming close from the distance. It's some kind of fog monster. It's more as if they were already here, waiting for me, and chose to reveal themselves now. The figure staggers above mine, yet the ethereal form and lifeless eyeballs make them seem less threatening. Greetings, silver-tongued. I was told you have come into my chasm. My greetings. At this phase of the dialogue, this is where you make your first impression, and where you dictate the tone of the conversation. How did you know I was the silver-tongued? Good to see you asking questions, but there's no point to it all. Well, it'll be to my benefit. Why is that? I don't have a comeback yet. Guess I drop the subject and move on. Anyways, I wanted to ask, what brought you here? I was hoping you could tell me that. And why should I be able to know? I wasn't so sure where I was going with this one. Thought I could buy me some time, or I have to lay it down. Oh, you poor thing. You may already be lost. Or perhaps you're a lot like me in this way. Lost? What's this? Are you lost? Haha. Oh, you're just... I was going to say pathetic, but your helplessness is endearing. My what? Helplessness? Wait, this isn't so bad. I can turn this around, or I can keep using this. Based on their general ambivalence and disinterest in me, it doesn't look like charisma is going to help a lot. You know, I've been thinking of a lot of things. Yes, I've been thinking a lot about what there is and what there isn't. Oh, have you really now? Are you implying that I don't think about things? I reckon that you're way too deep into your own mind, or the head is way too far up the backside. That all just becomes a meaningless mess that you don't know what to do with. I don't know what to say to that. You have a bit of spunk in you. They seem undecided whether or not they like that. I let them make up their own mind. But this is all irrelevant talk. I don't think it's appropriate for me to discuss these things with you. What I need is an answer relating to why you're here. Well, I told you that. Not how you got here, what you want to speak with me about. As in, why are you here? I'm sorry. Only those who have fallen astray land in the chasm. I know that you tried to enter against the wishes of this place, which seems incredibly bizarre because I haven't seen such an entry in a while. You're either here because you deserve to be, or you have breached an access point which should be illegal. I need to think fast. I know what they're talking about. People come to the chasm if they're lost. So that means I was probably caught here because I was lost too. Think. So I've lost any reason to care? He seems... Or he might like the purpose one actually. What do any reason to care? So I won't be able to truly understand anything. Oh, so you're lost too. Just like the rest of us. In fact, I think this could be quite a good sign. No one has lasted as long as you. I thought you would be gone by now. How quaint. They make several soft giggling noises. It's a bit eerie and unsettling. But in your last, final moments, I will tell you this, that everything you will say will be irrelevant. You will disassemble and lose yourself to the chasm like everyone else. No matter how hard you try, little silver-tongued, you will be in the place where you're meant to be. I was told that I was meant to die far too many times to take this talk seriously. Even though this discussion has me at the center, I need to refocus back to Fernweh. I can either let myself continue to be the center, and through this, reveal what Fernweh has to offer, or I can completely shift the focus of the conversation away from me. And where is that? Fernweh begins to turn inward. Within the chasm. Forever. And who decided that? Someone long before me. Pray tell, who's this enigma? Well, of course it was Oz. They dissolve into the air and then reappear again. Fernweh's eyes are glowing. They're deceiving you. Someone long before your time. I could guess that. But who, specifically? Does it matter? But there's no need to control what is essentially nature itself. That's the only thing that feels real. What makes everything else, including myself, feel so insignificant. Does it mean you think of me as fake? Fernweh forms a grin, and mist escapes through the gaping hole. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry? What? Something that couldn't exist. A figment of their imagination. Something in their mind. Are you kidding me? How on earth am I supposed to win Fernweh's favor if they think I'm fake? That I don't exist? You can try to convince Fernweh you exist, but you need a strong case and need them to trust you. You can break down their walls, find weakness, but you need a strong conviction. So, how come I'm talking to you? Well, it's simple. There's either two possibilities. Fernweh's eyes are shaded. They're telling the truth. One, my monad is being supplied with nutrients inside a machine meant to simulate reality, which includes you to be part of the reality. But I'm nothing more than just a bunch of nuts and bolts, meant to resemble a person. Fernweh nods their head. Or two. There is some malevolent demon who attempts to deceive me in believing in a non-existent world. That'll be me. He conjures up locations, people, and such with his incomprehensible powers solely for deceit. Wow, talk about being self-centered. Or being a solipsist. Solipsist? Must take an awful lot of brain power to be this self-deluded. So I'm either working for a devil, or I'm an artificial simulation. I wish I could say, oh, I didn't mean to insult you. Of course I didn't think that. But I honestly don't care. Interesting. Guess I have to find some way to convince them to care about the siphon. Or maybe I could use this to my advantage. But first, this is the place I'm meant to be in. Then I should get to know it. Fernweh, can I ask you to how the chasm works? It isn't complicated. You already know that lost souls come to this place. Often, when they doubt their reality, doubt their purpose, or doubt even existing. That's when I take over. The chasm does the work itself of converting the lost souls into energy. What exactly allows for this process of conversion? How do the lost souls here turn into nothing? Or the broken glass shards? Fernweh's eyes glow darker, and their legs start spinning. Oh, it's all because of the great mist. The chasm is home to the mist that corrodes every being who enters. It's funny, because you should be shattering, dissolving, fading. Yes, you're not as lost as I thought you were. Haha. This feels uncomfortable. Once the mist has done its job, I feed onto the energy left to sustain myself. So it isn't Fernweh's control of who gets to disappear and when. It's up to the system of the chasm. Interesting. And it lets the chasm continue to thrive off the nutrients of lost souls. So, if nobody were lost, would the chasm cease to exist? Foolish bile. Nobody is free from me or free from the chasm. Everyone will come here, because there isn't a single being that's sure of themselves. Well, I like to think that I'm holding myself pretty well together. You'd be surprised as to how weak and fallible you are once staring into the gaping maw. And the maw is the opening pores where the chasm breathes and consumes. This place is starting to sound like an actual person versus a static location. But if you aren't here, then what would happen? People would still come to the chasm. They would just have to find the way themselves. Almost everyone goes through me first before I see them here. Except for you. I didn't anticipate that you would be here, which is quite strange, but you'd be taken care of in a much more interesting way. I don't like the sound of that. Because if you aren't lost and somehow got in, that means that the chasm called you, not me. And why? Why? The lower you go down the chasm and the closer into the earth, the more lost you are. There are different layers to this place. First, for those with simple doubts, they may not even despair and simply wander back. The second are those who fully acknowledge that they can't know anything. No? No, let's continue. And the third are those who undergo a classic existential nihilism. The fourth are for those who are truly invisible, no purpose, direction. The fifth are for those who think that reality itself is a complete farce. And sixth are for those who doubt that they even exist themselves. Incredible, no? That sure is something. You seem to be an inquisitive creature. That seems to amuse them. The questioning will now begin. Use the keywords you have so far to ask Fernweh about them. To do this, simply type in the keyword you want to ask about. Or perhaps you can ask about non-keywords too. Be warned, because once you've asked a question about a keyword, that's it. You cannot go back to it. Do you have anything else left to ask? How do I... This one? Fernweh. Lost, soul, missed. This is where I've been journaling and storing all of the keywords I found. There are labels above to filter through the different type of keywords. Is Fernweh mist? I just wanted to ask, does the mist break down anyone who enters? Yes, that is true. How come you haven't break down in that case? I managed to keep myself together. Do you? What? Are you really keeping yourself together? The audacity I see you come down at the seams. Not only physically with your fading body, but mentally too. You can barely hold on two thoughts together. You're wandering from one thing to the next. I don't see how you could... Silence. Okay, clearly this is going nowhere. Silence. I will hear no more of your nonsense. If you're going to have an ideology, it needs to be consistent. Stop. Look at me. You should have disappeared by now. Fernweh, look at me. Why? Oh, no. Kelly's plane. Why aren't you going away? Fernweh, please. You're being hysterical. The little blood they have in them must have evaporated because it's boiling. It raises one of its sharp, spider-like legs around my neck. Hysterical. Hysterical. Well, this hysterical can snap your neck off. No use in killing me if I don't exist. No use in keeping you alive either. As long as I'm in your mind, I'll always be born again. Of course, I certainly won't. I'm just going on the assumption that Fernweh will believe this. Frankly speaking, I'm shivering and almost terrified for my life. Fernweh isn't a fighting terror per se, but with my fragile malformed body, they could easily break me. Don't insult me again. Please. Fernweh, I'm not here to insult you. I'm here to deliver the honest truth, and it's this. Which is, I think, I guess I have to take a look inside the mind to see what's going on. Okay. X RX in when mirrors are, it brings bad luck. When lovers can it ever heal? I don't know. What does that mean? When mirrors are broken, it brings bad luck. When love is broken, can it ever heal? How do I... Oh, you just go around it. Broken? Are you okay? I'm fine. You're breaking at the seams. You're tearing yourself apart. If I'm not mistaken, the mist has slowly been corroding your being with time. This place holds no double standards for you. It will treat you just like it does with anyone else. But I'm not in danger. This is only the first floor of the chasm. But the fact that you're suffering this much on a safe floor can only be a bad sign. There's no need to deny it anymore. It's fine to say that things are not okay, that you need help, and that things don't have to be this way. What doesn't have to be this way? Life. Let's face it, you don't really think much of anything, do you? Everything's an illusion. I'm a simulation. The outside world doesn't exist. People outside are created by an evil demon of sorts. Nothing is to be trusted. You become so disillusioned with life that you're practically not living one at all. Is that a problem? The only thing I need to do is govern the chasm, that's all. You're lying to yourself. What? You and I know perfectly well that chasm would work just the same without you. And do you know why? Why? Because it doesn't exist. What you're saying is ludicrous. What I've devoted myself to this entire time doesn't exist. The chasm makes anything that goes inside disappear. Yes. How do you know that it hasn't consumed itself? No. Such a thing would be impossible, unthinkable. Maybe not the right angle to go for. The chasm takes other beings that are here and makes them disappear. It's how the cycle works, how it maintains itself. So, if the chasm makes everything inside disappear, that must mean... Remember when you said how it's impossible that you've devoted yourself to doesn't exist? That was only a few seconds ago. You know what would make this feasible? There's no point in debating this if you don't exist. What? Fernweh said earlier about how the chasm is divided into floors. The deeper you go, the stronger the force of the chasm. There's one thing I need to do, which is bring Fernweh down. Or in other words, I need to make Fernweh descend the chasm. Now it is I supposed to call them under. Isn't everything so obvious now? I don't exist. Chasm doesn't exist. And neither do you. What? There's a contradiction. It's precisely because I'm able to conjure you means I must think. Cogito ergo sum. I cannot exist if I can't think. Therefore, I must exist. Fair point. But I think I can do better. How do you know that this is an illusion of thought? You creating me and thinking is based on a preconceived notion that you were created. But what if this is just nothing? You're nothing. And all of this is the last days of your soul trying to reconcile your non-existence. The empty space of objects do exist. The hole in the cup, the space between words, the silence. And they, in theory, are there and do interact with the world. But in isolation, what are they but nothing? They are the presence of non-existence. Just like you, Fernweh. They seem genuinely stunned. Unable to say anything. Take a walk with me down. I simulate walking down the chasm floors so that they'll go deeper. Soon, I notice I'm only talking to the head. As I was talking, I noticed that Fernweh is slowly beginning to collapse. Wait, are they starting to genuinely believe that they don't exist? And because of that, they're actually ceasing to exist? To be true, the chasm has consumed you a long time ago. You're nothing but the debris that's left, you see. The voice is completely gone. I can barely see their form now. I saw in real time how the chasm consumed someone. In the midst of the fall, I catch a glimpse of a lavender light. That must be their mind. Even if they're gone, I can still feed off the energy. All I need to do is sign the leftover spirit. Using your power of insight into whatever remains of Fernweh's mind, you will leave your mark on the mind, which can say anything you want. Signature? A keyword? Or perhaps it's a word that's meaningful to you. Place your mark here. Type anything you want. With my mark imprinted on Fernweh's mind, it acts like a signature of some sorts, meaning that I can siphon their mental energy at any time, as long as the connection is maintained. Congratulations. You've successfully won Fernweh's favor. Whether or not you won though, life will still go on just the same. But it could determine future outcomes and scenarios. Now that the conversation, or your stats earned during the conversation will be reset to normal. After all, present indicates how your interlocutor perceives you. Once you're done seeing them, these stats play no role. All stats gained during the conversation with Fernweh will be reset. Don't worry, all points you assigned beforehand will stay. Here, you can save your progress by overwriting the save in the first file slot. Would you like to save?